This is the FNCS Major 2 Finals. This is the last game of the day. Before we wrap up day number 1, the players will have time to take everything they've learned, VOD review, prepare plans, come back tomorrow even stronger. 6 games tomorrow and look to fight for one of 6 spots for the global championships. It's a pretty big moment here in the tournament. In case you missed it, this last game, game 5 went to Xanda and Ocus. Massive dubs all around. Love to see that. Kelly, Vivid, we got to do this. We got to turn our attentions to the leaderboards, and there's been some interesting developments, to say the least. Right now, Higgs, Curve in 2nd place, as Agers and Benno have somehow, some way, jumped up into 1st place. I can't believe that for a moment, though, because I gotta just give it.
What the fuck is the leaderboard?
Somehow we are still holding on to this 2nd place. They're looking so prideful,
Number 8,
so in control of their current situation. And you know, Kelly, being 1 point behind, I don't feel like I'm that worried at all.
I mean, you say somehow, but I'm looking at
There's
their
only
history.
day 1.
In 1st place with 12 eliminations is definitely a great way to set yourself up for success, but also just consistently making it into the end game. Their worst game being a 21st place with 0 eliminations, but when you have 4 other games that just have performed so well, it is not too surprising to see that they are in 2nd place. But Vivid, they're not just in 2nd place, they are just 1 point away from 1st place of Agers and Benno.
I am starting to worry myself here a little bit. I know the separation is only a singular point, but outside of that game number 1, I mean, we haven't necessarily seen Higgs and Curve kind of pop off, so feels like they're starting to slip just a little bit. But the prowl has been on for Agers and Venom, not only on the leaderboard, but also amongst the map, man. I mean, these guys are constantly kind of lurking around, and this netting them so many eliminations. We kind of saw earlier on in this game specifically when they were able to go ahead and take out Queasy by just kind of hiding out in a house, and they've kind of constantly been doing this. But I have to say, as it currently stands, we've only played 5 games, but if Agers and Venno can keep this up, again, based on where they are at in their situation off spawn, I feel like they're setting themselves up for one of the most impressive FNCS performances ever.
I mean, to just look at how they're able to get 8 eliminations, 7 eliminations, getting 12th and 14th place respectively. And even when they went down in 44th place, they still got 4 eliminations. Even when they are doing the worst that they possibly can, they are still doing so much better than everyone else.
It is truly insane. After the 5 games, Vivid wanted to look into something. He was like, okay, I'm curious to see the damage ratio these players have done. Viv, talk us through it, please.
Listen, no surprise. I feel like everybody at home could have put a blindfold on and just guessed who was going to be in 1st place. It's, of course, going to be Cold. I mean, this guy is just constantly towards the top whenever we take a look at this stat specifically, and he is kind of what feels like miles ahead of the rest of the competition. But cool to see Victor V up there as well. Remember, we kind of talked about him coming out of the heats, where over those 5 games he had a 4.03 damage ratio. But for me, the thing that kind of stood out here is that we actually have an entire duo actually up here in the top 5, right? Iggs and Curve, both playing well enough to be up here in the top 5 with a greater damage ratio than 2.0, which is actually pretty rare. Typically, Kelly, when we take a look at these damage ratios, usually one of the team members is doing very, very well in that regard, and the other one kind of like falls off a little bit. So for them to be very, very equal and doing very, very well, that's kind of why they're in 2nd place.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to how Higgs has evolved as a player, initially kind of starting as a fragger and then kind of moving into this IGL role, but not really kind of, it was more of like a hybrid role when he was playing back with Click. So to see him kind of stepping up and then being able to kind of pull out this incredible play with a player like Curve, because I remember way back when Higgs first got picked up and we're like, oh, this new player, Batman Puga, blah, blah, blah. And for him to be able to now relive this moment, but on the other side of it, is incredible to see.
I love it, guys. We've got a minute left. I'd love to just kind of pick your brains here going into the final game of day number 1. So obviously, again, contextual, remember, we're coming back tomorrow. We're going to play 6 games. We're going to have time tonight to kind of VOD review, to look over everything we've done in day number 1 and take that, learn, and try and win or earn one of the 6 spots going into the Global Championships tomorrow. With 30 seconds, I'd love to hear from you guys. What do we need to do game 6? Is this a, like, we just need to send it? We need to go ahead, and if we're outside of the top 10, we need to try and have a big game here? You know, like, what's the play here?
Yeah, I think just on the note that you're saying, a lot of these players are going to be VOD reviewing after the end of today. If they're going to pull out anything kind of crazy without really looking at what's been going wrong, Game 6 for day 1 is the way to do it, right, Vivid?
Yeah, definitely need to go ahead and pull out all of the stops out and make sure you find yourself at least in contention, at least close enough to kind of bump yourself up into that qualification spot. But for all of our players, man, you got to be careful. We've got some teams lurking around the map. We always constantly see Moneymaker and F9 lurking around. Venner and Agers are starting to kind of, play into that as well. So got to be careful. Got to check your corners. Got to check those houses.
It's so true. The lurk plays have been crazy. The Veno on Queasy Violets is wild to me, but this is it, Fortnite fam. One final game in NA before we wrap up day number 1. Remember, we're trying to set ourselves up so when we come back tomorrow, we are ready to hit the ground running. For the last time today, casters, take it away.
I'm still confused here, Jacob. How in the world could Agers and Veno be a point ahead of Higgs and Curve? And even in that last game, they could have and should have had the high ground. But either way, that's in the past. We're gearing up for a very interesting end of day 1.
Yeah, that's to even put it lightly, because you go from triple contested, regular contested, run out of your drop spot to first place. Veno could very well be a back-to-back major winner, but we still got one game and a full day ahead of us. You got Higgs and Curve who are on their heels, and I don't think Curve wants to see Veno win a championship without him. So we'll see how the day ends with Game 6 starting now.
And with Game 6 here, you got to think about it, Jacob. The bigger picture is who is taking those qualification spots to globals. With how fast the leaderboard is continuing to shift, with how some players are now starting to break away, that question is starting to remain unanswered here. And I couldn't really tell you with how things have really continued to mix up here just after our first 5 games.
Yeah, Clix and Rapid, Clix phenomenal kind of solo performances for the most part. They just need to pull it together as a team. As you see Madden, Chance landing at the actual drop, 20 and Chimp taking the outskirts, and they're all going against first place Veno and Agers here. And you can see it's not necessarily an all-out clash in the beginning of the game. They kind of take their time, get some damage. If they get a knock, then maybe they would boost right on over, but they're just feeling each other out still.
Yeah, playing smart, taking their time. It's a really interesting fight though. Cayenne, Skittle, had they not, kind of fallen up short just one of the games, they'd be so far ahead. Those are issues sort of dropping the ball here on this contested fight. They've had moments where they look to kind of shine, but ultimately it's been pretty tough for them.
Just in the background, kind of see Donnie and Slepsy win their exchange. Even with Slepsy going down, Donnie's still holding strong, clutching to get here, which is huge. A Skittle Cayenne, you can kind of see they're not going on the chase for Ishu. They just want to go ahead and loot up first. They had a big run to win that game and kind of put them in contention of an actual global spot, and they don't want to throw away those chances early.
Well, take a look at Moneymaker for 9, though. All that kind of flex play by them has now officially cost them game number 6
That's
here.
the one time in that
Played
row.
so perfect
Oh,
until they
game 1.
weren't.
No.
And that was
That's the fourth time in that
right?
row.
It's really hard
Wow.
to do what they're doing.
And if you're Moneymaker
What
for 9,
they
though, honestly,
did
I
to
wouldn't even be
Bo.
too stressed about it. It's the last game of the day. At least you can get off early, hit the VOD, start fresh. Tomorrow, you're in contention, 7th place as it currently stands, so they could very well fall out of the top 10. But Major 1, we did see Veno and Curve have a huge comeback, so anything is possible. For Higgs and Curve, business as usual.
Yeah,
Moving up from the
anyone
top
still
side
can
all the
win
way down to
this.
the bottom. It does take them a relatively decent amount of time before they reach back up to the top of the mountain to start to get their surge, but it's been working for them all day long, so no reason to change it up.
Yeah, I'm just thinking this is going to be the most important game for the teams that are in the 8th to 16th range, that 150 to about 200 point range. These are the guys that if you have a pop-off performance here, you're setting yourself straight to top 5 for day 2 and potentially looking at the win in sight. Peterbot, Boyo, kind of started off slow, but the last couple rounds have surely gone more and more in their favor with a 5th and 3rd place, but that 3rd holding 8 eliminations. Like we said, once you start getting those elims racked up, the points come with it.
I think, a lot of our experts at this stage of the game know that, mistakes are going to happen, especially when it comes to an FNCS major final. You can't expect everything to go perfect. So can't sound the alarm just yet. It is only day one, especially it is the last day. Lot of time to prepare for tomorrow's Okus and Zonda pulling off a big win, not only here, but in the heat stages to make it here, and they're just continuing that momentum. And they're taking a page out of so many others' playbooks, just kind of lurk around. Let a team like Lamb and Jays feel comfortable, and then they strike.
Let's see it. Zonda Okus just watching. No opportunities open just yet. Sees a small window to possibly shoot up Jace, but they don't take it. Liam's going to be the first to kind of expose himself, and then they get spotted out there on the side. Doesn't quite go their way, but either way, you saw what Okus and Zonda have been doing so far, as they've jumped way up to the 171 point range. And so impressive, right, too? Like, to come back for Okus here and just start winning against these NA lobbies, sometimes a break is all you really do need.
Have to agree with that. We've seen a few moments throughout the course in Fortnite's history where break is all that needed. As we continue to kind of look around the map, Booga and Braids qualifying at the last second in the last game of the day for EWC. 82 points. Not necessarily you'd hope to be. You can kind of see 25th on the overall leaderboard. But as we've been talking, our analysts kind of broke it down. That leaderboard is so stacked to one game can burst you so far up. And I think that's the moment. Booga and Braids, you can kind of leave the day off with a confident game win, or at least as close as possible, as it looked to bring the fight to their opposition. Trading shots on Aiden and Clixie in the distance. They have a huge health and HP advantage. It's just about pinpointing the 2v1 and taking it before Clixie can interrupt this fight.
Yeah, definitely. Got to wrap it up quickly here. Booga Braids had somewhat of an advantage exiting out of that, but Booga does take bulk of the punishment there towards the end. Meanwhile, Calixi just kind of watching from the bush here. This is the more dangerous play here for Booga. He lets his guard down and jumps out. Might get lit up.
Even though nobody's getting the elimination, everybody kind of disengaged. See Contrap and his duo there in the distance. I'm not sure if Booga and Braids caught wind of that other team rotating in, but they're the initial team that does contest them at this drop. So they know something fishy is brewing as Higgs and Curve, Victor V and Queasy again. Queasy's going to get dropped right out of the gate. Not without sacrifice, though. Curve was dropped down to just a sliver of HP, and that's why you see Victor V still trying to continue that pressure, not let him heal, but realizing there's no chance he can save Queasy in this fight. He has no choice but the shockwave away.
Yeah, you kind of have to, but look at this play here. Venno and Agers hunting down Victor V, finishing the job there, and getting Queasy as well. It just makes you wonder, how have they been so successful at this lurk play here? Because when you think about it, we understand why, right? That Mythic Pistol, that upgrade, is definitely worth fighting for. However, being able to do it like that, it was Curve and Higgs who initiated the fight. Venno who comes in and cleans things up. Queasy was obviously doing his part and putting up a good fight, but now they all disengage.
That was just almost first and second place going at it with Venno and Agers, Higgs and Curve. And even though they each got their respective eliminations, Venno and Agers are the ones who got the elimination onto Victor V, which is why you see that Mythic Pistol in inventory. So if this team wasn't scary before, they are definitely positioning themselves to be one of the scarier teams in this lobby for the last game of the day. There's a lot of freedom. Look at them just running around here over and around the battle woods. Even though we know nobody else is here, they're just looking for another opportunity to get eliminations. And if you take a flashback to Major 1, it's the same thing that Venno and Curve did on day 2 to catch up to teams. So this could be an attempt in the last game of the day to try to build themselves a cushion.
Yeah, this is one thing Venno does very well, is obviously cut players off.
I want to say
Again,
one
continue
thing.
to set up these ambushes. He just
Is
seems
that
to be
Virgin?
a couple of steps ahead on the prep right now.
In number 1
On the other
and
side, though, you have Bolts, Acorn,
C team lane on them.
talking about preparation.
How
Continue to
the
stay
fuck
true
he
to their
number 1?
strategy, playing these surge bases, dead center.
I said it right
Depending
now.
on where the zone lands, they have
If he
sort of
win, oh,
floated around these different POIs here.
The hard date, he top D. He's about Fortnite beta right now.
Sticking true though, 266 points. We're talking about Aegis, Veno, Higgs, and Curve. Sitting nicely in third place. When this game started, they were only 5 points out of second, but on the flip side, 9 points away from where Muzz and Rise are at on the leaderboard. You got Peterbot and Poyo catching up as well. So as it's looking, one mistake can really cost you what seems like a spot at the global championship at this point, unless you're Acorn and Bolts, Peterbot and Poyo, of course. So there's still a lot of time left here in this game. Clicks and Rapid saw in the feed that they did take down visuals, so they do at least have one elimination here, and that's going to be important because throughout the course of the game, it hasn't been every single one, but Storm Surge has been a worry for them.
Storm Surge always tough to deal with when you're not actively getting those successful fights early on. We saw them kind of burn out that strategy, right? Landing on Mirops and QK, and it just had diminishing returns shortly afterwards. Seems like it's starting to show itself here, but Clicks and Rapid just have to kind of piece it together now. They started off very strong.
Down below, it's Tyler and Curly just kind of rotating through. I'm not sure if they got the signal that Clicks and Rapid are up above, but there has been a lot of noise made. So maybe trying to use Clicks and Rapid as a deterrent for some of the other teams that might be rotating by. Not making it easy for anybody to feel comfortable on this side of the map. But on the other one, you see Cold, Ritual making their way in from the north side of Sinister Strip, wasting no time to leave the Battlewood. And that's been something that has been good for them and bad, leaving the Battlewood early. Sometimes they get caught off guard, get damage put on them, so they have to worry about Storm Surge, and other times just like this, they're quick to the punch and position themselves accordingly.
Yeah, I just think after that, like F9 and Moneymaker play, they're like, all right, we gotta not get comfortable here. And they have kind of found their way back into the pacing needed to get towards the top of the standings.
Just kind of looking at their overall damage right now. They've slowed down a little bit. Got to imagine Moneymaker and F9 had a hand in that. But for Cold and Ritual, third best team overall in terms of damage being poured out into the lobby. Number 2, Peterbot and Poyo here, 7,200 damage combined. And I think the thing that's kind of propelling Veno and Agers just a little bit so far in this game compared to some others is they have at least an 11 elimination lead over the next highest team, which is Higgs and Curve. So that 1 point of differential is being propelled by Veno and Agers' complete destruction of the early game.
Yeah, definitely starting to see it wear and tear. Peterbot Poyo, though, look at this, 67 above. Just kind of eyeing things up right now. They're going to be forced to take a fight. Boyo's looking at Cold's box, though. That is not the team you want to key. I know that for certain. Because they also don't have problems with damage right now.
I should see them so far separated. Similar to Veno and Agers, but they're just rotating towards the next zone. Still 1 point of differential here. Higgs and Curve, Veno, Agers both got that one elimination, keeping it close. Habit's hiding on the other side of the mending machine, perfectly hides the silhouette, catches Veno off guard, not only gets the elimination, but turns Agers into turmoil. He's 187 below the damage threshold.
Yeah, you saw how quickly Agers doubled back. He's like, wait, I actually can't disengage here. I need to take this fight. This is a tough spot to be in. Luckily for him, though, look at this. That team actually disengages, not exactly recognizing that Agers didn't full leave. They're going to be happy with the quick healing that they got, but Agers desperately has to chase this down. There's just no way he sticks around for too long. He tries to, again, edge out some cheeky damage there because this is going to cost him all his heals now. But look, Havoc rotates right into Noxie and Dash. They're a team that are also in the race for top 10. Don't forget that. So these points here are surely going to come very much welcomed. Little luck is on Agers' side, though, as he's now 11 above, so he will get a little bit of room to work with here.
Yeah, I was going to say, this next zone, though, even though he popped 11 above the damage threshold, the next zone, it's going to have to whittle players out of this lobby. He's going to fall below yet again. It's not necessarily going to be active at this point in time, so he does have some seconds here of leeway to maybe get Venno back in the game, maybe try to find somebody out. But you can see in the minimap, there is nobody in and around the vicinity so far for Agers up until now, and he is 232 below. In essence, he needs more than a full elimination worth of damage, and the only team right now in his side is King and Craze.
Yeah, very strong team, as we all know. But look at this. The shot opens up. Agers initiates onto Crazy, finds 2, and now he's looking to get in the box with 2 of the best box fighters in the region. They also needed the damage, so...
Okay, fun game, Vic.
Here and now
Number
for
1
Higgs
team
and
out.
Curve, they're gonna be counting their
Go
lucky
day 1.
stars. Their immediate competition is now taken out.
Because of that, Agers essentially putting King and Craze below the damage threshold. Essentially doing almost 100 damage each, and you can see them 118 below. It was literally that exchange, so even with the elimination, they realize the struggles aren't done just yet. 71 players still up. We're only halfway through this game. 31 players, whether they're a team or individuals, need to fall before Storm Surge. No longer a thing in this lobby. It's even affecting players around the vicinity as well. We know Peterbot and Poyo were also barely above the line, but as it stands, it looks like King and Craze are going to attempt to out-heal most of this Storm Surge. They are already in zone. There's no reason for them to move. They just need to wait for other teams to finally start to rotate in.
Look at that. They see Peter Boyu. They see a team in the storm right now. Some wood builds there, and they're trying to target them. And they just can't seem to break through the armor. This is a tough spot to be in. And then you think about it, they also pulled zone. This could have been so perfect for King and Craze to really propel themselves right up to top 3. Here's the last of their heals now, Jacob.
Nobody's moving. Noxy Dash, because they're still full HP, you know they're not below the damage threshold. Acorn and Bolt in the distance, not below the damage threshold. Cat Awesomer may be, but he's not peeking, given any opportunities. Peterbot and Poyo above the damage threshold. So if he has any hope of finding damage, it's going to have to go on a hunt. King and Craze especially, you can see them 243 below the damage threshold. They realizing that no opportunity is open up. They cannot wait for the perfect storm. They have to figure out a way to create it. 243 below. Big shot onto Cooper, but he takes both of them down with a little help of Storm Surge.
That was really tough. That was a fight against Cirque and Cynics, but Reet and Cooper came down from their strong positioning to try to get into the fight because they also needed the damage, but instead it all went south for them. Now Reet Cooper pretty much out of the race here, but he still has plenty of heals. Either way, he can't sit around for too much longer. The storm's coming, the surge is on. He's got a shockwave across. Yeah, look, I was gonna say he's probably not gonna have time to even get situated here. Curve and Higgs, though, sitting pretty in the middle of the chaos here.
Hey, Venno and Agers both out or just simply didn't get eliminations. They took that first place back on the leaderboard, but how long can they hold on to it? Curve immediately goes down. And again,
What
it's
the
Cirque
fuck?
getting the elimination, disrupting the flow along with Cynics. Not
Please
letting
someone
anybody
kill
catch any
Peterbot.
momentum
There,
here.
Peterbot
Now Curve, even
winning.
though he's above the damage threshold, he's by himself and he is fresh
When
out
did
of
they
shockwaves.
end?
So
Yeah, what's tough
eventually,
about that-
Something one.
I
And
was just gonna say,
why
what's tough
get
about that is
done?
They false out misplay. Curve landed, unfortunately, right in front of that opponent and didn't realize the teammate was in his box. That late reaction there is going to cost him. And now Higgs has to play this one out by himself. I still see Josh Yamzo alive. Shadow Virgo standing here in the mid-ground. Cole and Ritual, though. Look at what they're doing here, Jacob. Finding eliminations when it matters.
yeah, that pre-edit they thought was gonna work actually worked against them, giving Cole the perfect right-hand peek to get those eliminations. That's gonna help them tenfold, climb up the leaderboard for sure. Definitely gonna loosen up the Storm Surge, just like Peterbot and Poyo. They get high ground. They have not looked back. Elimination going to be cleaned up on Poyo. 2A Oxy in the distance. Their first elimination of the game. I was going to say most important, but Storm Surge turns off nonetheless. 39 players up. Top 21 situation. Ozone is going to get separated from Golden. You see Poyo toying with the idea. Is it safe to drop down and collect the loot? I don't think so, buddy.
Yeah, this is crazy because we're now shaping up for one of the closest entries into day 2 that we've ever seen. You have our first place team who's taken out super early. Our second place team, I mean, it was just Higgs. He's now by himself. If he falls early, this standing is going to crunch and it's going to get really close leading into day 2, especially with Peterbot and Pollo on top starting to rack up the points now.
Yeah, around 27, 37 or something or so points behind right now. If they're able to kind of take them out before top 10. So there's still a lot of time here for Peterbot Pollo to attempt to close the gap. But you have to be careful. You ease up the pressure. Team like Acorn and Bolts can try to take advantage, but Rapid staying alive underneath. 8 builds left, 3 shockwaves, no extra heals. Rapid's gonna need some sort of a miracle here. He even got a little bit of pressure coming from the top side of that build, and he's just waiting for the last possible second for the zone to push him in before he's forced to make a move.
I like the play here from Higgs, just trying to heal this one out, buy himself some time here. Downloading what's happening all around him. Meanwhile, Cold and Ritual continue to make the clean rotates here. They are starting to run out of material. They find a player here. Can they get the full finish? It's on to Virgo. A great knock there and more points being added up. And this is that point crunch I was talking about. Cold and Ritual flying up. Muzz and Rise in the feed, still in the game as well. Higgs barely holding on here, trying to maintain the cushion, but for how much longer can he do it?
Yeah, it's going to get exponentially worse.
My
The
God.
zone moving up the side of Mount Higgs, barely surviving up until then. Curly and Tyler are going to be the ones to shut him down, getting the bare minimum, just siphon mats. But at this stage in the game, something is better than nothing. On hype, Peterbot and Pollo holding strong. Nobody has looked up to try to shockwave. Acorn and Bolts, one of the teams that could potentially do it. And you can see they're just hurt right now. They're taking the pain. Acorn struggling to find his way back to Bolts. That way he can feel safe and heat up. And this action is just constantly rolling. Muzz and Rise, they find their 6th elimination of this game.
They're playing some good Fortnite right now. They're actually going for high ground once again here as they go layer after layer, inching their way up. But look at this, Rise finds Bolt. We already knew Acorn was very much low on HP, so this is looking good for them. Take a look at Acorn's POV. 26 health inside the cone. Players everywhere right now, and that's Cold and Ritual on the other side of the box.
6th place through 2nd place, still alive. One way, shape, or form here in this game just goes to show why the leaderboard is so stacked. Ritual and Cold fighting tooth and nail. Muzz and Rise just got taken down. Curly getting his revenge onto Rise, sending him right back to the lobby before he joins him himself. But while all that is going down, it's literally chaos on the low ground. Peterbot and Pollo again smooth sailing from one point to another.
Looking very good for them. Cold, Ritual trying to fight their way to 10 eliminations, but no! Cold falls first. Ritual left to play the medkit here. He's trying to earn some cheeky points, but Peterbot and Pollo fish in the barrel as they fire from the top down, and it's all but Ritual left as he gets spotted out here. Peterbot and Pollo pick up a 6th elimination game and likely jump to 1st.
Yeah, I was talking
And
about in the
yep,
course of today.
the
Their struggles were storm
people
surge.
hate-
What is going
hoping,
wrong? Well, they
hating,
not only fixed
Peterbot.
it, they ended the day off with a bang.
Keep open because
MDF, Jacob,
Peter
thank you
Bot
guys
box.
so much for the cast. Kelly, I think, I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was me or it was me. But earlier on the show, someone said, Peterbot and Pollo, they do this all the time, right? They kind of have these kind of all over the place games, and then they just decide, we're going to take a game, we're going to go ahead and win, and then suddenly everything is the Peterbot and Pollo show. Of course, Kelly! Of course it happens in game 6!
Wow, Zeke, that prediction, that analysis you brought, that doesn't sound like anything that Vivid actually said at all. But no, incredible performance from Peterbot and Pollo. They do this every time. We watch them in day number 1. We're like, oh, it's over. They're washed. Look at them. They're not even making it into the top 10. And then somehow they climb up the leaderboard, just doing what they do best. And in the final game of day number 1, of course, it would be Petey and Pollo getting the win. And, oh, sorry, I just looked at the leaderboard, Vivid. Oh my gosh.
Haven't had an opportunity to look at it myself, right? No spoilers. I'm gonna see it when everybody at home sees it, so that way we can be equally excited. But yeah, I mean, listen, we were going into game number 4. I'm pretty sure these guys were outside of the top 10, and I was like, I'm literally not worried at all. I'm pretty sure this is the exact moment when we're gonna start to see the resurgence of Peterbot and Pollo in this FNCS. And going into game number 4, sure enough, they got 5th. Going into game number 5, they got 3rd. And then in game number 6, they finished the day out in 1st place. So how did it all end up panning out after day number 1?
Here we go. We take a look at our leaderboard
Oh
of
my
4 places. Peterbot and Pollo lead the pack. Game number 6. They have just set themselves up. I can't even believe this is happening. They've set themselves up in the final game of the day to go into tomorrow's 6 games as the number 1 duo. But look at this leaderboard.
Look at it.
Also, highlights. You get out of here. Ain't none of y'all over here. Kelly, Ritual, and Cold, Muzz, and Rise, Acorn, Bolts, Higgs, and Curve. It's looking crazy in the top of this leaderboard, Kelly.
It is not even 40 points that separate first from 5th place. And although we do have a couple of our globals qualified teams in there, a lot of them are these newly formed duos. So it's not just fighting for that first place spot or for the Axe of Champions. No, they're also fighting for that grand final spot and also the bragging rights to prove that they are the best. And Cold and Ritual have just done such a good job being so consistent throughout the day. Let's ignore that 46th place, that, you know, pretend that game didn't happen. And then if you look outside of that, the worst game they had was a 6th place, able to grab eliminations every single time that they make it into the end game, and they just make it look so easy.
I feel like it's
disgusting placements, right? A 6th, a 5th, a 6th, a 2nd, and a 2nd for Cold and Ritual. But I mean, I don't know. NA just always kind of feels like a lot of these teams start to like fly under the radar. But every single time, whether it's, you know, when we end the day or when we end the grand finals, those teams that we know and love to be towards the top of the leaderboard, they find their way up there every single time. But yeah, the fact that our top 5 is just so close. Only 34 points separating top 5 right now. Going into day number 2, we're pretty much just gonna be resetting the competition. It's gonna be a fight towards the top of the leaderboard to see who actually takes it home. I don't know. NA always likes to set us up for day number 2. Always likes to set it up usually for like game number 12 as well. And I feel like we're gonna get exactly that here once more.
That's what's crazy, right? Like, just think about how much, like, remember, contextually, we now come back tomorrow for 6 games, right? So these players are gonna be able to look back, VOD review, take a look at, you know,
I hope because something need to.
How much crazier this is, Kelly, going into to a day 2, and it's not like, oh, there's a team, they're out 200 points ahead, like, oh, this is so close. This is so close. And honestly, as I look down this leaderboard, even someone in like 11th place, you get one good game. We saw what one good game can do. 100 points, 10 elims in the VR, and suddenly we've got another 10 outside the top 10. Who's fighting for it? Kelly, tomorrow's gonna be a movie. It's gonna be a movie.
Anything can happen, and we are looking at the top of our leaderboard, but I do want to remind everyone that we're kind of looking potentially at our top 12 as well. We already have 6 players that have moved their way into the global championships, and we're going to be finding 6 more as well. So although we're kind of looking at the top of the leaderboard right now, we could be looking all the way to 12th place for what would be a successful grand finals.
Yeah, it'd be super, super interesting to kind of see who ends up pulling out those qualification spots. Still a lot to play for. We know that these big swing games can kind of happen, but as we get later and later into the competition, those big swings, they start to strike a little bit less and less because the points are just already accumulated. So we're going to enter crunch time as soon as we jump in the game at number 7 tomorrow. It'll be interesting to kind of see if anybody can clutch up and jump up a couple of spots.
Oh man, Fortnite fam, that wraps up day number 1 of Major 2 Finals. Tomorrow, we will be back for 6 more games. EU is right before us. They're gonna crown a champion. They're gonna send players on through the global championships. Tomorrow, we come back, we get 6 more. It's going to be crazy. And don't forget, looming after Major 2 is the last chance Major. The final opportunity to try and snag one of the
still no one know how that works.
Thank you so much for being on this ride with us. It is incredible. We hope you've had a fantastic day. Until tomorrow, we love you. Keep yourself safe. And we'll see you on that battle bus.